colleagues, we have quite a few students with us this morning to observe our proceedings. We have here students from Noble Guide Academy. Can you please stand for recognition? Please acknowledge their presence. Thank you. You may be seated. We also have with us students from Lingra High School. Thank you. You are welcome. Also in the gallery this morning, we have with us students from American International School. Please stand for recognition. You're welcome. And finally, last but not the least, we have students from Al-Arib School in Kaduna. Please rise for recognition. You're very welcome. Thank you. You may be seated. Leader, I think we have some strangers who want to come in to observe proceedings. Can you please move that the House allow them in?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ado Dogwa is my name. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members. I rise to move as directed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Femi Bajabiamila, that the House do suspend our relevant rules to admit visitors who would like to observe our sessions this morning. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Thank you. Honorable Toby, we have some strangers in the person of the governor of Imo State and some other visitors. Can you please second the motion? Your mic is not working? Motion moved by the leader of the House, seconded by Honorable Toby. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Leader, please. Is it leader or whip? Can you get whip? Can you get them in, please? Honorable colleagues, we have in the belly of the chambers with us today very important personalities, including the National Organizing Secretary of the APC, the Executive Governor of Imo State, His Excellency Hope Uzodimma, and we have the former Governor of Imo State, Senator Owele Rochas Okorocha, with us. My guess, and I may be wrong, is that they haven't come to observe our proceedings. My guess is that their visit to us is not unconnected with two letters that I have here before me, which I shall proceed to read. I was able to go through, and the language, the contents of the letter sounded like music to my ears, as it will to you too, as well. So I will read. The first one is from Honorable Uju Kingsley Chima. Honorable Uju, is he here? Okay. I have a letter here from you. Is this written by you? So this is authentic. Okay. It says, His Excellency, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, the Speaker, House of Representatives, National Assembly Complex 3 Road, Abuja. Sir, defection from Action Alliance AA to All Progressive Congress. It is with utmost sincerity of purpose and after due consultations with my political followership in my federal constituency in Imo State that I wish to convey to you my decision to officially defect from Action Alliance AA to All Progressive Congress APC. May I further inform you that my decision to join the ruling All Progressive Congress was necessitated by the incessant intra-party quagmires within the Action Alliance, which had failed all reconciliatory efforts. I therefore wish to convey to you my assurance and readiness to play within the rules, regulations, and the Constitution of the All Progressive Congress APC. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and once more accept my sincere assurance. Honorable Kingsley Chima Uju. Honorable Uju, you are welcome into the fold of the APC. Congratulations. Congratulations for joining the Progressive Party. For those who may, the door is wide open. There's still room for several members who may wish to join as well. Honorable colleagues, your point of order can come after my second letter. I have a second letter here from Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigozie Obi. Letter of resignation from Action Alliance and defection to the All Progressive Congress. After due consultation with my constituents and my family members, and taking cognizance of the present irredeemable situation of things in my party, the Action Alliance AA, I have decided to resign my membership of the Action Alliance Party and hereby move back to my former party, the All Progressive Congress, where I started my political voyage. It is my resolve to work assiduously for the All Progressive Congress APC to enable my constituents enjoy the dividends of democracy. Please accept the assurances of my highest regard.
What?
Honorable Dr. Pascal Chigozie Obi. Honorable, the minority leader, what's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Actually, can you wait a minute? We have a procedure. We have a procedure in the House. Let the new members. You are welcome. Where's Pascal? Where's Pascal? Okay. Well done. So when they take their seat, you raise your point of order. Let us finish the procedure, then you raise your. That's how we do it. We've always done it like that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain
APC Organizing Secretary, Excellency Governor of Imo State, Senator Rochas Okorocha, you're all welcome. Congratulations to you, Pauline.
Mr. Speaker.
Let's take a seat so we can listen to the minority leader's point of order. It seems to be very, very, very aggressive about this point of order, so let's hear him out.
Man of God.
Minority leader, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elumelu, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Shimoli Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I'm coming under Constitutional Order Section 68, 1G.
Section 68.
And I want to read, Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission. A member of the Senate or Federal House of Representatives shall vacate his seat in the House of which he is a member if 1G, being a person whose election to the House was sponsored by one political party, he becomes a member of another political party before the expiration of the period for which the House was elected, provided that his membership of that political party is not as a result of, hold on, let me finish. It's not.
Please allow the minority leader.
Of which it's not as a result of division from any for the political party, of which he was previously a member of a merger of two or more political parties or factions by one of which he was previously sponsored. Mr. Speaker, by the grace of God and by the wishes of all the minority caucus members, I am still the minority leader. Mr. Speaker, I am not aware that the national chairman from the National Secretariat of AA ever wrote to me, or even by publication, to state the obvious that there is any division in that political party. Therefore, I think that what is being done this morning is illegal and is not acceptable.
All right. Thank you very much. I will rule on your point of order, and I will take it from there. First of all, I've listened to you very carefully on the provisions of Section 68. My position is this. One, did you listen carefully to the letters that I read out? Did you listen? Wait, I'm trying to rule on your point of order. The letters that I read out clearly stated the reason why they were leaving AA, which is in tandem with the provisions of Section 68, number one. Number two, there's something in law called locus. My question to you is this: are you a member of AA? No, that's okay. No, you have no reply. I'm ruling. No, sir. Let me rule. Minority leader. You are the minority leader. You are a member of PDP.
Please order.
As minority leader, you are not automatically a member of AA. So you have no locus. If you go to court, and I will say the matter, the constitution can be interpreted in court. But unfortunately, you cannot go to court because you are not aggrieved. You do not have locus standing. So, unfortunately, your point of order is out of order. There is no provision in our rules for further point of order. So we'll move on with the. On this same subject matter, we have ruled. Leader, can you move to discharge our guests? Even though...
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise to move that our visitors who have had the opportunity allowed by the House to witness our session this morning be moved out of the House, and we retain relevant orders. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Deputy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my distinguished colleagues. I remain Comrade Peter in MNI. I second the motion as ably moved by the brand new leader of the House. I so second.
Honorable colleagues, any member who has a petition to present to the House may please do so, rise to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My names are Honorable Eta Bora. I represent Calabar Municipal Urubani Federal Constituency in Cross River State. Mr. Speaker, I have two petitions here to present. One of them is from my constituents as a petition against the management of Cross River Development Basin Authority on the unlawful and illegal attempt to demolish over 100 houses already built in the land that was ceded to them. Their prayer is that Mr. Speaker calls intervention to allow and to sustain the building that are already there. The second one is from 3 members of the Nigerian Police Force against unwrongful dismissal from the force. The Speaker, their prayer is for your intervention to allow them to be called back to the police force. May I now, Mr. Speaker, lay these petitions before you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, you may lay your petition. You have a petition? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Akinfolari Mayowa Samuel. I represent Ile-Oluji, Okegbo, Odigbo Federal Constituency. I am from the Sunshine State. Mr. Speaker, I have this petition from some of my constituents. It borders on financial impropriety and embezzlement by Standard Alliance Insurance PLC. So they are seeking the support of Mr. Speaker and this honorable house to collect their money from Standard Alliance. So I seek your permission to lay the petition.
Yeah, please go ahead. Honorable Bagos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Dachu Musa Bagos, representing Jos South, Jos East Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm in receipt of a petition from my constituents against the Federal School of Medical Lab Sciences, Jos, on the breach of constitutional provision of federal character. With the permission of the Mr. Speaker, I submit the petition, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and my very distinguished colleagues. My name is Uchuchukwu Namobi, and I'm from Oba Ebema and Dunning. I represent the good people of Ahoda West and Oba Ebema and Dunning Federal Constituency from River State. Mr. Speaker, my possession here is a petition from the landlords of oil and gas landlords from Oba Ebema and Dunning, and the grounds here is the oppressive manner with which Nigerian Active Oil Company has breached certain bilateral contracts, and they're hoping that the House will intervene to actually avert the generation of peace. They're seeking that we please take action and ensure that justice is done. With your kind permission, may I please lay this petition on the table, Mr. Speaker?
Yeah, please go ahead. Petitions referred to Committee on Public Petitions. Honorable Bello, you have a matter of urgent public importance. Honorable Bello, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, my name is Muhammad Bello Akubu. I represent Birnin Kebbi, Kalbo, and the Bunza Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Kebbi State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to invoke the provision of Order 8, Rule 4, so as to allow me to suspend the relevant rules for this House to allow me to present a matter of urgent national importance. So I move, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Yakub Bello has moved the matter of urgent public importance. Do we have a second? Honorable Ari, you want a second?
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Ari Mohammed Abdul Mumin. I represent Nasarawa, Toto, Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to second the motion. Every move by colleagues, I so second, sir.
Those in favor of the motion moved by Honorable Yakubu Bello that is urgent and needs to be taken now, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Bello, please move your motion.
Mr. Speaker, there is urgent need to checkmate the fake professors in Nigerian high institutions. Mr. Speaker, note that many people are masquerading as professors in Nigerian universities. The National Universities Commission in December 2019 discovered 100 self-acclaimed professors in different universities in Nigeria. The discovery was made in the 174 universities in the country, comprising 43 owned by the federal government, 52 by the states, and 79 privately owned universities. Aware that according to NUC, these self-acclaimed professors had uploaded their CV on the websites of the National Universities Commission, parading themselves as professors. The NUC discovered it during the process of compiling a directory for professors. Further aware that the NUC has directed universities to create desk officers to monitor such abuse in their various universities to ensure that only genuine professors are in universities. My observation is that the directive by NUC is not sufficient. NUC did not publish the names of the fake professors. Thus, nobody knows the identity of the fake professors. By keeping the identities of the self-acclaimed professors secret, NUC is indirectly encouraging this criminality. Thus, to clear the names, Mr. Speaker, it is a crime. Besides, failure to publish the names of the fake professors will give the impression that some real professors may be fake. Cognizant that professorship is the highest academic honor in a university, it is awarded to lecturers who have made outstanding contribution to knowledge through scholarly research and publications. Self-acclaimed professors should not be allowed to take the title without merit. Concerned that in 2017, a final set-up by the Michael Ofara University of Agriculture, Umudike, recommended that 28 professors be demoted. Also in October 2019, the Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Akwa, withdrew a PhD it had awarded to one of its lecturers, whom it was said to appoint as an associate professor. These Kankawam have permitted the ivory tower in Nigeria and should be discouraged. Worried that failure to disclose the identities of the fake professors will send bad signal and they will encourage other fake professors to give themselves title of professors. It will also encourage lecturers to be lazy if they know that one can parade himself as a professor when he is not. This call for action, Mr. Speaker. Resolve, urge the National Universities Commission to publish the names of the fake professors and make it available to the public. Urge the National Universities Commission to ensure that universities that harbor the fake professors are punished by withdrawing their certificates to serve as deterrent to others. Urge every university in Nigeria to create a database of professors with their full names, phone numbers, certificates, photographs, and other identities.
Fine, thank you.
So I move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Rari again? Yeah, go ahead. Rari, please, second.
My honorable colleagues, I am Ari by name. I represent Nasarawa Toto Federal Constituency. Honorable Speaker, sir, I rise to second the motion, ably moved by right honorable colleagues. I so second, sir.
Honorable, just add a little flesh to your motion so that we can move on. I think it's straightforward, but just add a little flesh to it. But you're okay with it? It's comprehensive enough? Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against me say nay. Ayes have it. Moving along. Honorable Nolly, you have a motion of urgent public importance.
How are you, sir?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, my name is Nolim Naji. I represent in Kano East and West Federal Constituency. I'm from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, I come under Order 8, Rule 4, on a motion on a matter of urgent public importance to move a motion on the urgent need to declare state of emergency in the power sector. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I also move for the suspension of our relevant rules to enable me move this motion. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable Maki, you may second.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I am Maki Abubakar Eleman. I represent Manamuluri Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm from Jigawa State. I stand this afternoon to second the motion heavily raised by my neighbor, Honorable Noli. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Nolly.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the House notes that in 1972, the National Electricity Power Authority was created to generate and distribute electricity in the country. Also notes that as at the year 2000, the generating capacity of NEPA from 4 thermal and 2 hydro plants was 6,200 megawatts, which resulted in very unstable power situation, thus exposing consumers to regular power cuts and long period of outages. Further notes that in 2001, the federal government commenced the reform of the electricity sector with a policy to create an efficient electricity market in preparation for the transfer of ownership and management of the infrastructure and assets of the electricity industry to the private sector. Equally notes that NEPA's failure to live up to its mandate necessitated the 2005 Electricity Power Sector Reform Act that gave birth to the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission with powers to regulate the sector. Thus, NEPA was renamed Power Holding Company of Nigeria. Aware that in recent years, electricity supply has become very significant owing to the seemingly indispensable role it plays in every facet of our lives. Absence of electricity for long periods causes discomfort and hampers productivity. It's also a known fact that electricity consumption has become a parameter by which the standard of living as well as the level of industrialization of nation is measured. Further aware that currently there is an ongoing failure of the sector to provide adequate electricity supply to domestic households and industrial producers, despite being a rapidly growing economy. Only a limited number of Nigeria's population is connected to the energy grid, while power supply difficulties are experienced around the country most of the time. At best, average daily power supply is estimated at 4 hours, although several days can go by without any power at all. We are having a serious decline in power generation. Thus, the idea of our great nation generating 2,000 to 3,000 megawatts or less is highly unacceptable considering the electricity dependence. Recognize that power supply difficulties cripple the agricultural, industrial, and current economic development in Nigeria. The power supply crisis is complex. It stems from a variety of issues that have been ongoing for decades. Most Nigerian businesses and households now resort to diesel fuel generators to supplement the intermittent power supply. Even some of our manufacturing industries have collapsed, while some others are now operationally located outside the country, especially in Ghana due to power degeneration. Observe that we should take advantage of this peculiar endowment of nature to our Nigerian environment and also harness the various alternative and viable sources of energy in Nigeria like solar, coal, wind turbine,
gas turbine, hydroelectric dam, including mini-grid and renewable energy options available in Nigeria region to enhance our current and pitiable state of electricity. Further observe that fixing the energy crisis in Nigeria is of paramount importance as it will help to reduce crime rates, create employment, reduce health hazards, reduce rural-urban migration, reduce high production costs in our industries, reduce post-harvest losses in agriculture via storage facilities, boost small and medium-scale entrepreneurs, eradicate poverty, attract foreign investors, and generally revitalize the economy and developmental agenda of our dear nation. Concerned that on the 7th of January 2020, the current Minister of Power, Honorable Salim Maman, made some remarks on the failures and intangible results of the immediate past Minister of Power in resuscitating the power sector despite the huge financial resources invested into it. Further concerned that if there is no urgent declaration of state of emergency in the power sector, the collateral damage that will cause us in the nearest future will be unprecedented. We need to establish a strong and reliable power supply system and possibly seek the support and collaboration of international organizations, expert investors, and other well-meaning Nigerian organizations to tackle this epileptic power supply. Resolved to 1. Urge the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to declare a state of emergency in the power sector. 2. Mandate the House Committee on Power to urgently call a public hearing on the current state of electricity generation.
You are welcome.
Urgently call on a public hearing on the current state of electricity generation, transmission and distribution to evaluate the real problems and come up with ideas on how we can expand our energy sources beyond hydro and gas to include solar, coal and other renewable sources of energy. Direct the House Committee on Power to exercise their oversight powered by visiting NEC and other relevant agencies under Ministry of Power with a view to ensuring absolute compliance with all the provisions of the existing Act. 4. Further direct the House Committee on Power and House Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure prompt implementation of this motion and report back to the House within 6 weeks for further legislative action. I so move.
Thank you. Honorable Wokolo, can you please help second the motion?
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Victor Wokolo, member representing Ika North East, Ika South, Federal Constituency of Delta State. I stand to second the motion as heavily moved by my very dear friend, Honorable Nolly. I so second.
Thank you. Ordinarily, once Honorable Wokolo seconds the motion, there really is no need for debate, but I think you can just add a little flesh, and I think the minority leader also wants to contribute to the debate. So go ahead, just add a little flesh to the motion, and then we'll take the minority leader and put the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. Well, the power situation in Nigeria is, I can say that it's very, very unfortunate. A lot of our country is going through a lot due to power generation. Most times we discuss our security situations in Nigeria, and part of the way to solve the security situation in Nigeria is to provide power, to increase our power generation, so that most of our youths will be gainfully employed. If we don't have, it's not acceptable when we generate about 3,000 megawatts with a population of over 200 million Nigerians, and we're generating between 3,000 to 4,000 megawatts. Mr. Speaker, it is not acceptable. And I believe that if we can increase our power generation to up to 20,000 megawatts, and considering the fact that the federal government not long ago, they are talking about foreign loans. If you can invest part of the money in power generation, I believe that we can go far in tackling the issue of unemployment in Nigeria that is affecting all of us here. Most of us every morning we receive calls from our constituents requesting to be employed, requesting for employment, and the population we have, naturally the government cannot employ in an economy that is moving forward. Government employs not more than 20%. The private sector takes care of over 80%. But in Nigeria, government takes care of over 80%, while the private sector takes care of less than 20%. The reason is because we are not generating power. Imagine a small country like Ghana is taking advantage of Nigeria. Most of the major countries are leaving this country to move to Ghana because we are not generating enough power. So, Mr. Speaker, I am appealing that this motion should be taken seriously so that we can actually see what we can do in solving our problem and create jobs. Because when we are talking about small and medium scale enterprises, it's only power generation that can solve it. Rural migration is only power generation that can reduce it. We are having post-harvest losses because we cannot because it's only power generation that can solve it. So, Mr. Speaker, I pray that you people will support this motion so that we can get to the end of our problem. Thank you.
Minority, or do you want to round up? Because there seems to be one or two more people who are interested. So minority leader will round up. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Osai Nicholas Osai. I represent local Kwani Federal Constituency of Delta State. Mr. Speaker, you are aware when you are a majority leader, when you were a minority leader, a third alteration was done because of power sector. And I know you contributed very, very well in that alteration to make it happen. Mr. Speaker, there was a privatization and powers were given to discos. And as I tell you today, Mr. Speaker, discos have never invested a 10 kobo into the national grid. Today, even when we generate power, there is no power that this government has generated. The government of Buhari should be praised for generation of power. This government have generated power to the extent that the discos are refusing to even take over this power to distribute. And it has keep quiet on it. If the privatization did not work, let us further revoke it. Because the question is that the people that this privatization has the anchor into their hand does not have the means. They're able to put in 10 kobo into the national grid. And today, we're talking about $1 billion that the federal government tend to take or recently signed with the United States of America in order to be able to add more money into that sector. And yet the disco that we believe ought to have generated that money into the power sector are refusing to do that. Today, how many houses are metered? Let's start from there. How many houses are metered? And yet our people are suffering today, and yet we are not rescuing them. And we are talking of another way. Mr. Speaker, there's enough power to even generate that has been generated that has not been distributed. I think that's the question. I believe that the Committee of Powers will be able to do the necessary things to be able to bring this discourse to book. In as much as I support this motion, but I believe that is the only route to go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Osai. Very good point. I don't want to expand this debate because of time. Honorable Oshoba. Honorable Olumide Oshoba. And Honorable Maki, since you... Olumide Oshoba, go ahead. So we'll leave your side and then move here, and then the minority leader will round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Olumide Oshoba. I represent Abeokuta North, Obafemi Ode, and Odeda Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, let me first of all thank the mover of this motion. The issue we have in Nigeria is very disturbing. We have the privatization of the power sector, the distribution. The generation is still in the hands of government. Now, the distribution companies, I believe that a review of the privatization of distribution should take place. Because as my colleague rightfully said, you actually privatized distribution, and we expected that the people that got the discos would infuse enough capital into the discos so that Nigerians could enjoy stable power supply. My own position is the committee, and I'll come with an amendment, the distribution companies, the sale of the distribution companies should be reviewed. If they are not performing to the expectations of government, the distribution should be reviewed. Thank you so much.
Honorable Chinedu, since you complained yesterday.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this very rare opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we are very happy now that we are remembered this very rule. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, the very motion moved by Honorable Nnoli Naji is a motion all of us here have total interest on. We need power in Nigeria. The advantage of power, the imperative of power can never be overemphasized. I remember several here where we have discussed about issue of industries being moribund.
And they have not. You see,
I remember also several here when we have discussed about unemployment.
Up to $15 billion.
Mr. Speaker, it is very clear that our population
It was a political
is a profit, but lack of power dampens that profit. Our population is supposed to attract industries, but because Nigeria don't have power, we lack power, we lack generation of power. Some of those ones that were able to kickstart on their own finally end up running away from this country to other neighboring countries where power is guaranteed. Whatever it will take the government of the day to ensure that Nigeria has adequate power, 1/3 of our problem must have been solved with that. Unemployment issue will be still of the past because other foreign countries will equally come here to invest. Our population is a market of its own. We need power. If we have power, our education will be very, very sufficient and efficient. If we have power, agricultural, mechanized agriculture will be adequate. If we have power, other industries, canning industry will be working efficiently. Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue to enumerate the advantage, the necessity, the importance of having power, but action is needed. The cogs in the way that is holding the profit or the progress of generating power in Nigeria need to be cut off. We need to solve it. Because at a time I will begin to think, is it those that are in the cartel of importing generator that is holding us from generating power in this nation? If you go to every public yard, you won't hear noise everywhere. Ordinarily, it affects health, pollution. But today, Nigeria is supposed to be a country where people enjoy 24 hours non-stop power generation. Other countries are overtaking us because of power. Mr. Speaker, the motion on the floor is a good one, and we all commend the mover of the motion, which is Nnoli Naji, for doing a good job by bringing this kind of motion. And also, Mr. Speaker, we commend you for allowing all of us to add input, have an input. Thank you and God bless you. We support it whole and entire.
Honorable Oga, and then Honorable Latubosu, and then we move to the minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The motion brought on the floor of the House this morning by
honorable colleagues, is a welcome development in this country. In the sense, in the aspect of security, if there is a constant electricity in this country, there will not be insurgents. It will help to reduce crime. It will help to stabilize this country, and the economy of this country will boost. Mr. Speaker, if you look into the appropriation in each of the ministry in this country, it can help to stabilize the electricity. The power that each of these people in different zones appropriate to the people in different rural areas can help. There is so many sources of power in this country. There is wind, there is solar, and there is other source. If we can do something right to make sure we get it appropriately, the insurgents that we are complaining of militancy will help to address the issue of this country. So I support the motion able moved by Honorable Nole. Is a welcome development in this country. It will help to do a lot of things and help to secure this country and uplift the development of this country. Because of power, it will help us to grow. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, the right honorable speaker. My name is Olajide Olatubosun, representing Atisbo, Shaki East and Shaki West Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. Let me thank the mover of this motion because it is coming at the very right time. Power has been a challenge in this country in the last 25 years. And what we have experienced is progressive deterioration. The last time they did power sector reform, it was only the last leg of the chain, that's the distribution, that was privatized. It's a value chain. You have generation, transmission, and distribution. And a chain is as strong as its weakest link. Right now, people that are the owners of the discos, they have not done the needful to ensure that they have investment to take power from the transmission companies. The former Minister of Power Works and Housing, former Governor Raji Fashola, said if we say we want to revoke the discourse, the privatization, that we may run into legal challenges. We need to look at that agreement again. We cannot remain perpetually in darkness in Nigeria because we have entered into some agreements that are not working. Mr. Speaker, sir, you need to provide leadership. That issue has to be looked into holistically. Can we even have a public hearing whereby we look at the whole gamut of the value chain, generation, transmission, and distribution? We have very weak transmission infrastructure. As I'm talking to you, many parts of this nation, they are not on the national grid. They don't have a substation. How can we connect them to power? And also the issue of cost reflective tariff is very important. I know that people don't want to pay, but the challenge is if investors cannot recover their resources, their investment, and make some little margin, it will be difficult to attract investment into that sector. Last year, CBN has given about 700 billion into power stabilization fund. That is not sustainable. How can we ensure that we stop that subsidy and make that sector more efficient? Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Honorable Olatubosun, thank you very much. I think we need to round up this debate. 12:40. Okay, honorables, we'll just take one more from Honorable Sada Soli. Since you are a neighbor to the German power, and then minority leader will round up.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Sada Soli. I'm representing Jibia Kaita Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, Nigeria, with respect to power, is caught in between the devil and deep blue
see. Why did I say so? Mr. Speaker, if you look at the privatization that was taken place was done haphazardly, and it was done in a skewed manner to give advantage to some powerful people in this country to continue to milk this country. Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking from the advantage of a member of the Committee on Power. Mr. Speaker, why can't we have power? There are two things here. One, if there is power in this country, some people are making money. If there is no power, some people are making money. In between, that's where Nigerians found themselves. So these two segments, they don't care whether there is power or there is no power, because in whichever way it comes, they will make money. Why did I say so? If you look at the money that the federal government is paying, the gap for this undelivered capacity to Gencos, Gencos will go home to sleep because they know if this capacity is undelivered, they will be paid. So they don't care. But another fundamental thing why we can't have power in this country is the transmission. As long as we cannot address the issue of transmission, yes, the TCN presently, they are trying, they are doing their best, but the transmission is one of the bottlenecks of power in this country. Above all, the political will of those that are in charge to get things done in the right way. And finally, discipline on the consumers, discipline on we Nigerians. These are some of the quagmire this country found itself with respect to power. So as long as we cannot address these issues, Mr. Speaker, it's going to be the same story today, tomorrow, and next day. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of our North Shimili Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I will give the House little brief as per where we were and where we are now. In 1999, prior to 1999, Mr. Speaker, we had less than 2,000 megawatts. And when we came into democracy in 1999, the then president and the government in power found it very necessary that there was need for us to improve the power sector. And that led to a steering committee being set up to look at the possible way of ensuring that we'll have improvement as to how many kilowatts that is generated by all the power stations. As at that time, we had few power generating companies or stations. We had Egbi, we had Shiroro, we had Kanji Dam, and we had Sepele Power Plant, and we had Uyeli Power Plant. And all of this, naturally, Egbi was meant to produce up to 1,000 megawatts. Sepele and Uyeli Power Plant were meant to produce 350 megawatts of electricity. Shiroro, which happens to be hydro, and Kanji were meant to produce between the range of 250 megawatts of electricity. Now, these were not possible because of incessant shortage of the operational process of the power stations. So when the steering committee finished their work, they recommended that there was need to unbundle the power holding. And that led to the setting up of Electric Power Sector Reform Act, EPSR Act, which came into being in 2005. And when it was set up, the idea was meant to unbundle NEPA, as it were, to let us have separate entities in generation, in transmission, as well as in distribution. And that led to setting up more committees to advise the then government as to how to improve our total number of generated megawatts. And I could recall Lagos State during the reign of Senator Tinubu brought error. And that was where we started getting it wrong. Because instead of us decentralizing it and allowing some states to generate and connect them to national grid, we decided to fight the idea of them wanting to be separate and independent of themselves. And I could remember that it took a long time. And when we were given the opportunity to review it, we recommended that all the things that were deprived Lagos State ought not to have been, because they have good intentions in setting up that to improve the megawatts of electricity that were being generated. And it was as a result of that committee that led to NIPP. Now, NIPP had good intention of setting up more generating stations. Of course, we now set up few stations, one in Imo, we had Alauji, we had Ebema, we had Omoku phase 1 and phase 2, we had Geregu, and we had one in Jigawa. Now, Mr. Speaker, all these stations were on stream, but something was wrong. For instance, the one in Geregu, there were no pipelines to evacuate gas from the Niger Delta to Geregu. So in effect, when CMS finished the construction of the generating company, generating stations, it was now difficult for them to energize it because there was no gas, based on the fact that the pipelines were not on stream. Of course, contracts were awarded, and Papalanto and Omotosho also were awarded for them to build more in Southwest. And all these things failed because there were no pipeline to evacuate gas from the Niger Delta to that place. Even the few ones that were generated as it were, it was very difficult to evacuate them because we didn't have good transmission line. And that led to the NIPP contract that was given to many companies for them to build the transmission lines, but they all failed. And that led, then our colleague who was Honorable Ndume brought up a motion which led to us investigating the power sector to find out why it was difficult for us to have enough generating megawatts. And in our findings, Mr. Speaker, we found out that a contract that were awarded in 2005 as at 2009, and those contracts were meant for only 2 years, 24 months, from 2005 to 2009, when we were now given the responsibility of investigating the power sector, those contracts were not executed. In most instances, even the consultants who were meant to follow up with the contractors that were given the responsibility of constructing either the transmission lines or distribution network, they all failed woefully. And we've had findings, which we found out that by way of injecting funds, federal government injected $13.2 billion. Out of the $16 billion that were earmarked, $13.2 billion were actually assessed. And as we speak today, Mr. Speaker, most of even those distribution networks, the transmission line and the GENCOs, most of them have not been completed. So I want to commend Nolim for bringing up this motion that there is need for us to set up, have a state of emergency in the power sector. Perhaps that will help federal government to find out what actually happened. Those who are holding our money, who could not complete their projects, they should be made to return and refund the money. Those who also failed to execute but they collected money, I think that EFCC should have a way of going after them and ensure that we recover these funds. Because we cannot have them, we cannot have money given to contractors and they will not mobilize to site. So, Mr. Speaker, I thank Nolim and I urge all members to please support this thing, because when we support it, it will help our constituents that voted us into office. We have those who are doing barber salon. We have those who are even doing hairdressing. We have those who are doing all manners of businesses, but they are finding it difficult to operate because the cost of running generator is very high. And there should be a way. There should be a way, except when it is necessary, there should be a way to check the influx of generators in this country. Maybe by so doing, we will now curtail the cabals who are making it difficult for Nigeria to have stable electricity. We need to check the cabals in the power sector. We have cabals in the power sector. They are the reason why we do not have stable electricity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I'll now put the question. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, a gentle reminder about today's health talk, which is slated for 2:30. Honorable colleagues, please be in attendance. We've announced this 2 days ago. We announced it yesterday, and this is the final and gentle reminder. Please, let's be in attendance for the health talk, so that we can take care of our personal health. Yes.
Is it not 104?
Wasilon, order point of order. Fellow colleagues, the business of the day is presentation of 33 bills. I now invite the clerk to read their short titles. The clerk.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Federal Polytechnic Korogum Delta State Expansion Bill 2020 first reading. Chartered Institute of Finance and Control of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2020 first reading. Electric Power Sector Reform Act Amendment Bill 2020 first reading. National Icons, Symbols, Legacy Agency Bill 2020 first reading. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1990, Alteration Bill 2020 first reading. Nigerian Police Academy establishing Secretarial Bill 2020 first reading. Nigerian Police Act repeal and reenactment Bill 2020 first reading. Federal University of Education, Function, establishing Bill 2020 first reading. Federal College of Forestry Management and Tourism, Idanri, establishing Bill 2020 first reading. Export Prohibition Act repeal Bill 2020 first reading. Subsidiary Legislation Monitoring and Control Bill 2020 first reading. Charter Institute of Cost Managers of Nigeria from Nigeria Bill 2020 first reading. Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2020 first reading. Federal University of Agriculture, Pategi, Kwara State, Establishment Etc. Bill 2020 first reading. Nigeria Sugar Technology Institute Bill 2020 first reading. Federal College of Agriculture, Establishment Bill 2020 first reading. Electoral Offences Tribunal, Establishment Bill 2020 first reading. Federal University of Science and Technology, Kosumbosu, Kwara State, Establishment Bill 2020 first reading. Federal Medical Center, Toro, Establishment Bill 2020 first reading. Federal Polytechnics, Orozo, Establishment, etc. B 2024 reading. National Agency for the Control of Cancer, Establishment B 2024 reading. National Volunteer Services Agency B 2024 reading. Social Security B 2024 reading. Charter Institute of Oceanians of Nigeria, Establishment B 2024 reading. Electric Power Sector Reform Act, Amendment B 2024 reading. Insurgency of military victim stigmatization prohibition B 2024 reading. Rural Areas Development Agency, etc. B 2024 reading. State of Nation Address B 2024 reading. Federal Capital Territory FCT Urban Development and Planning Commission, etc. B 2024 reading. National Agency for Sickle Cell Disease and other heritable blood disorder treatment B 2024 reading. National Directorate of Employment Act Amendment B 2024 reading. Northwest Development Commission B 2024 reading. Federal Polytechnics Act Amendment B 2020 first reading.
Thank you. Respected distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the third reading of the bill for an act to repeal the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act, Cap P17, Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria Bill to regulate the training and practice of pharmacy. And for related matters, honorable members will recall that the House adopted the report of the Committee of the Whole on the bill on Thursday, 6 February 2020. I therefore call on the Leader of the House to move that the bill be read the third time. Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Comrade Peter of MNI. I represent the people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. I'm from Edo State. Mr. Speaker, I move that a bill for an act to repeal the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act Cap P17 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria Bill to regulate the training and practice of pharmacy and for related matters, HB 334, should now be read for the third time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Whip, second. Whip.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tair Munguno. I represent Martin Munguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I second the third region of the bill.
Respected colleagues, the question now that those in favor of the bill be read third time, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, say nay. That have it. Clerk, you are invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for now to repeal the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria Act, Chapter P17 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and now the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria Bill to regulate the training and practice of pharmacy and for related matters. Third reading.
Bill read the third time and pass. Respected colleagues, the second order of the day is the third reading of the bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Gashua and for comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters. Honourable members will recall that the House adopted the report of the Committee of the Whole on the bill on Thursday, 6 February 2020. I therefore call on the Leader of the House to move that the bill be read the third time. Leader.
Mr. Speaker and my dear colleagues, Comrade Peter of representing Akoko Edo.
That was a good motion.
I move that a bill for an act to establish the Federal University Gashau and make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and related matters be now read for the third time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Chief Whip, second the motion, please.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I second the third reading of the bill.
Independent autonomy when they get from them. Because we have seen that.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay.
Yes.
That have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal University Gashua and to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters. Third reading.
bill read the third time and pass. Respected colleagues, the third order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish a chartered institute of trade and investment to provide for investment indemnity assurance scheme, trade and investment tribunal, trade and investment registry data bank, and for related matters. Standing in the name of Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai, honorable members will record that the bill was read the first time on 17 July 2019, and I invite Honorable Osai to move that the bill be read the second time. Honorable Osai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai. I represent local Aquanic Federal Constituency of Delta State. I move, Mr. Speaker, a bill for an act to establish Charter Institute of Trade and Investment to provide for investment, indemnities, assurance scheme, trade and investment tribunal, trade and investment registry data bank, and for related matter HB 154, be read a second time. I so move.
Yes. Ibon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues. My name is Honorable Anna Edwin. I represent the good people of Ezano, the Shady Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Eboy. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second that the bill be read for the second time. I so second. Thank you.
Proceed with the debate.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Osai, Nicholas Osai. I represent the local Aquanic Federal Constituency of Delta State. Mr. Speaker, this bill is anchored and fundamentally anchored on the promotion of private sectors, enterprise, and indigenous domestic investors within the Nigerian economy. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, you will recall that this bill has added almost 38 million jobs in the United States of America through private enterprise investment into the economy of the United States of America. And Mr. Speaker, this bill will establish a chartered institute that will train trade and investment in those key areas of our economy. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleague, the institute shall participate in the formulation of policy guiding the practice and keep abreast with new development in management and professional service delivery. How does it do it? When you create a lot of eggheads within the trade and investment enterprise area, you will be able to develop a blueprint through which a direct investment will be coming into the country through these eggheads. These eggheads will advise the necessary three arms of government on the ways to go on the possible trades and investment. So developing eggheads are very, very important in the economy of our country, which presently we do not see. Today, I listened to the chairman on Agri Institution when he raised an issue that these days Nigerian products do not cross our country and probably will take the level of Ghana to be able to cross our exchange of trade, which is not good. So you need to develop that key area that will give us that mileage in order to trade with other countries and bring in foreign investment into our country. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, it strengthens domestic and private sectors enterprise, promotion of indigenous trade and investment in Nigeria, creation of favorable environment for trade and investment in Nigeria, and promotion of foreign direct investment, promotion and foster confidence of foreign investors. Mr. Speaker, when you come to a country and there are a lot of actors within that sector, definitely you have confidence to make an investment. But when you go to a country whereby there are no eggheads, you find out that it is difficult to relate and even to partner in terms of direct investment, and you lose confidence. And this particular institute will be able to develop that blueprint that will create a lot of confidence on foreign investors to come and invest in our country. We have a big economy, but how many people are investing? First of all, we try to make
on our side, try now run up. You have 1.5 more minutes. Thank you.
I urge honorable colleagues to support this bill with the speed of light.
This is a very straightforward bill. and I therefore put the question. Those in favor of the bill that be read the second time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for now to establish Charter Institute of Trade and Investment to provide for investment indemnity assurance scheme, trade and investment tribunal, trade and investment registry data bank, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Commerce. Respected colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Medical Center, Ogara, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Roland. All members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 10th December 2019, and now invite Honorable Roland to move that the bill be read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Honorable Ben Roland Igbakwa. I represent Ethiop East, Ethiop West, and by the grace of God, we are from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill to provide for the Federal Medical Center for related matters be now moved the second time. I beg to move.
Konda. Yes, Honorable Adamawa.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I'm Kwamoti Bitrus Laori, member representing Numan Jamsa, Lamude Federal Constituency. I so second.
Yes. Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Those against say nay. Can you move your sorry, please. I was faster. Present the motion first.
Mr. Speaker, fellow honorable members, permit me to lead the debate on the general principle of this bill. Nigeria, like many developing countries, is besieged by numerous political and socio-economic problems, and many of these challenges or the resultant fallouts are aggravated by pervasive weak health all over the country. Healthcare delivery in Nigeria has faced major challenges towards achieving universal health coverage. In all the geographical zones, access to quality health is a luxury, as it is either unavailable or very expensive. Also, the adoption of the Structural Adjustment Program signaled a shift from a predominantly welfare scheme to the introduction of user fee and the resultant proliferation of private healthcare provision, but without the desirable quality of healthcare delivery in place to advance the health status of Nigeria. While successive governments have made concerted effort to promote health equity and ensure unrestrained access to health services, majority of the citizens are still grappling with various health challenges. As an important element of national security, public health not only functions to provide adequate and timely medical care, but also track, monitor, and control disease outbreak. Research currently indicates that about 1 in every 6 children dies before age 5 in Nigeria, while evidence suggests that improved access to adequate health care holds great potential for improved child survival. Previous efforts indicate that there are substantial barriers to accessing healthcare in Nigeria, and this remains an important predictor of child survival. There is therefore the need for improved access to adequate healthcare in Nigeria through the elimination of barriers to access, as this will enable the country to achieve a significant reduction in childhood mortality, a reality which the Nigeria state has to face up to and accordingly revamp its healthcare system. The Right Honorable Speaker, my wonderful colleagues, Ogara in Ethiop West local government area of Delta State is home to Western Delta University, Delta State Polytechnic Otefe, College of Physical and Health Education Mosuga, over 10 petroleum tank farms, the Nigerian Navy Logistics Command, and the Mobile 51 Command, over 20 secondary schools, and over 50 primary schools and other public facilities. Despite its dense and growing population, the nearest health facility is the Delta State Teaching Hospital, and as the name implies, it is not for the common man and cannot be said to ensure a target of universal health coverage for Nigerians vis-a-vis the people of Ethiopia West local government. The only federal medical center in the state is situated in Asaba, and it will take 3 hours driving time or more considering the situation of our roads. This hospital, when established, will service and take care of over 13 local government areas in Delta State and part of Edo State that shared borders with Delta. My constituents are in their need of this federal medical center to fill the huge gap towards the provision of quality health service and easy access in case of emergency to the generality of the population. This bill has painstakingly noted the shortcomings of earlier health policies which mitigate against the equitability in health sector and accessibility to healthcare service in the country, and has further made provision for facilities for training of medical students of associate university, diagnosis, curative, promotive, and rehabilitative service in medical treatment. Employment of our teaming and unskilled youths is not left out. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, in view of the importance of good health to human life, productivity, and imperative to access thereto, the need for the establishment of the Federal Medical Center Ogara cannot be overemphasized. I therefore call on my ever-cooperative colleagues to support this bill to enable it be read the second time and refer to the relevant committees for further legislative action. I beg to move.
Thank you, sir. The question now is that those in favor of the bill is read second time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for now to provide for the establishment of Federal Medical Center, Ogara, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Health Institutions. The respected colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Polytechnic, ABI, to provide for full-time courses in technology, applied sciences, management, and fields of study, and to make provisions for the general management of Polytechnic and for related matters. And Honorable Alex. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 26 September 2019. I now invite Honorable Alex to move the bill read the second time.
Honorable Speaker, my name is Dr. Alex Ebuna. I represent API Yakov Federal Constituency in Cross River State. I move a bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic, ABI, to provide for full-time courses in technology, applied sciences, management, and other field of studies, and to make provision for the general administration of such polytechnic and for matters of related matters. I so move.
Under, yes, sir. Sokoto.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Architect Ibrahim Al-Mustafa Aliyu, member representing Wurnura Bafaro constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Sokoto State. I rise to second the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal Polytechnic IB, ably moved by my brother, Dr. Alex Ogbonna. I so second.
Please give it a synopsis of the bill in 1 minute, because it's a very straightforward bill.
Alex Ogbonna again. I represent API Yakov Federal Constituency in Cross River State. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, the bill is a very simple bill. Like every other state, Cross River has 3 senatorial districts, north, south, and central. But accidentally, there is no federal school in central. There is a federal school in north, the Federal College of Education in northern Cross River, then there is a federal university in southern Cross River. But it is unfortunate there is no higher institution or a federal status in Central Senatorial District where I come from. So this bill is moved to see that there should be a federal polytechnic established in any part of that federal senatorial district. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleague, for reason of coming with this bill is to open the frontier of the Cross River State to key in and address the education disadvantaged situation. This state, with almost 5 million people, has just 2 federal institutions, as I earlier mentioned. I don't need to repeat that. They need to establish a federal polytechnic in Central Senatorial District. It will absorb the teeming youth who are eager to contribute positively to the economic growth of this country. It is therefore imperative. The background formation and financial implication of this bill are hereby annexed. Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I'd like to passionately appeal to give you your almost support to this bill in order to help address the education balance in Cross River State and to urge the executive to expedite action on procedure in line with the federal government policy of establishing a federal polytechnic in each of the states of the federation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Respected colleagues, this is a very sturdy bill like that you mentioned. The question now is those in favor of the bill, raise the second and say aye. Those against say nay. They have served it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the bill for now to provide for establishment of Federal Polytechnic (ABI), to provide full-time courses in technology, applied sciences, management and other fields of study, and to make provision for the general management of the Polytechnic and for related matters. Second reading.
Honorable members, the bill is now referred to Committee on Tertiary Education. Respected colleagues, the sixth order of the day is a motion on the reconsideration of the outstanding bills from the preceding assembly pursuant to Order 12, Rule 16 of the Standing Order of the House of Representatives, standing now Honorable Abubakar Hassan Fulata. Honorable Fulata is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Abubakar Hassan Fulata. I represent Berniwa, Creek Kasama, Guri Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, from Jigawa State. Reconsideration of outstanding bills from the proceeding assembly. National Inland Waterways Authority Bill 2019 HB 173. Nigerian Film Corporation Act Repeal and Amendment Bill 2019 HB 2324. Firearms Act Amendment Bill 2019 HB 327. Dietitians Council of Nigeria Establishment Bill 2019 HB 515. Nigerian Television Authority Act Amendment Bill 2019 HB 517. House notes that pursuant to Order 12, Rule 16 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives, bills passed by the preceding assembly and forwarded to the Senate for concurrence, for which no concurrence was made or negatived, or passed by the Senate and forwarded to the House, for which no concurrence was made or negatived, or which were passed by the National Assembly and forwarded to the President for assent, for which assent or withholding thereof was not communicated before the end of the tenure of the Assembly, the House may resolve that such bills, upon being regazetted or clean copies circulated, be reconsidered in the Committee of the Whole, without being commenced de novo. Also notes that the aforementioned bills were passed by the preceding assembly and forwarded to the President for assent, but for which assent or withholding thereof was not communicated before the end of the tenure of the last assembly, and where that bills were regazetted as House Bills 173, 324, 327, 515, 517, and respectively read first time, resolved to commit the bills to the Committee of the Whole for reconsideration. I so move.
Deputy Whip Seconder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I am Kiruka Onyejoch. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. I rise to second the motion as moved by Honorable Olata. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Bills referred to the Committee of the Whole. Respected colleagues, the seventh order of the day is the motion on need to utilize the Zobe Dam in Dutse Mara local government area of Katsina State, standing now on Honorable Armayo Abdulkadir. Honorable Abdulkadir is invited to move the motion. Not on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Armayo Abdulkadir. I represent Dus Amakurfi Federal Constituency. I'm from Katsina State. Need to utilize Zobedam in Dus Amma local government area of Katsina State. The House notes that one of the focal points of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is to diversify the economy of agriculture, which will improve Nigeria internally generated revenue, achieve food security, thereby motivating millions of Nigerians to go back to farms. Also notes that the anti-corruption drive of the administration has put to a halt the exogenous leakages in the agricultural sector to encourage, empower, and enhance locally made farm produce, thereby increasing the internally generated revenue IGR index and foreign exchange reserve to over 45 billion in cash and bonds. Aware that some of the successful programs introduced by the administration are the Anko Borrowers Program, the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, the Youth Farm Lab, and the Presidential Economic Diversification and Food Security Council. Informed that Zobedam was constructed in 1972 under the Sokoto River Basin Development Authority with the purpose of achieving comprehensive and integrated rural development, such as provision of irrigation facilities, flood control, domestic or industrial water supply, and hydroelectricity. Also informed that since the commissioning of the dam in 1983, it has not been put to use for irrigation or power generation, and even though it has the capacity of irrigating over 20,000 hectares of land, supplying 80 million liters of water daily, and generating hydropower that can supply the whole Katsina State with electricity. Aware that the dam has the capacity of supplying water for the production of wheat, rice, and vegetables that can meet domestic requirements of over 30% of Nigerians, but it has been abandoned. A development that can lead to its overflow, which will cause serious flood to communities around the dam, as it happened in the past. Resolves to urge the Federal Ministry of Water Resources to award contract for establishment of ultra-modern irrigation canals of the dam and ensure full functionality and utilization of the dam, dam. 2, mandate the Committee on Water Resources to ensure implementation. I so move.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Ali Adeyemi Taufik. I represent Motion 1 for constituency from Lagos. The Speaker, I rise to second the motion as moved by my friend, my colleague, Honorable Ali Abdulkadir from Katsina. I so second. Thank you, sir.
Respected colleagues, this is an infrastructure-related motion, and so in line with our own rules, we will not debate it. I now put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Motion deferred to the relevant committees of the House. Respected colleagues, the eighth order of the day is a motion calling for the completion of the utilization of the maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility of Victor Atta International Airport, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Standing now, Honorable Okon. Honorable Okon is invited to move the motion. Honorable Okon? Not on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Okon is not on the floor. I move that the motion be stepped down by the leave of the House. So moved.
Motion stepped down by the leave of the House. Respected colleagues, the ninth order of the day is a motion on need to construct a flyover or runabout at Jamade Itas Gadau junction of Kano Meduguri Expressway, standing now Honorable Bashir Honorable Uba is invited to move the motion. Not on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Bashir is not on the floor. I move that the bill be stepped down, the motion be stepped down by the leader of the House. I so move.
Motion stepped down by the leader of the House. Respected colleagues, the 10th order of the day is a motion on rehabilitation of damaged infrastructure in Ezinheti Mbase local government area of Imo State, and now Honorable Chinedu, Chinedu is invited to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name remains Honorable Emeka Chinedu. I represent the people of Ahiazu, Ezinite, Mbise Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion on the rehabilitation of the damaged infrastructure in Ezinite, Mbise local government area in Imo State. The House notes that the residents of Egberimi, Ezido, Obama communities in Ezinite local government area in Imo State are being devastated by the gully erosion, which is rapidly eating away their lands and means of livelihood. The House notes that the indigenes of this community, whose main occupation is farming, are on the verge of losing their farmlands, properties, roads with each passing rainy season. The House is also worried that the gully erosion has adversely affected movement of persons as well as commercial activities within these communities. The House is further concerned that if the urgent actions are not taken to address this menace caused by this erosion, residents of these communities will be displaced and their properties destroyed. On that note, the House resolved that 1. Urge the Federal Ministry of Environment and Ecological Fund Office to embark on erosion and flood control works in the affected areas and other prone areas in the local government area of Imo State. 2. The House mandates that the Committees on Environment and Ecological Fund to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Kogi, second.
Your Speaker, please.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues. My names are Honorable Abdullah Ibrahim Ali Halims, representing Ankpa Omala Olamboro Federal Constituency from the Confluence State, Kogi. I rise to support the motion moved by Honorable Chinedu Emeke for the rehabilitation of damaged infrastructure in Ezinehite community in Mbise, local government of Imo State. I so move. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Respected colleagues, again, this is an infrastructure-related motion, so I now put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. That's have it. Respected colleagues, the 11th order of the day is a motion on the incidence of mortality from cancer in Nigeria, standing now Honorable Samuel Babatunde Adejare. Honorable Adejare is invited to the motion. Not on the floor.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Samuel is not on the floor. I move that the motion be stepped down by the leader of the House. I so move.
Stepped down by the leader of the House. Respected colleagues, the 12th order of the day is a motion on need to investigate the utilization of the Basic Health Care Provisions Fund, standing in the name of Shina Abiola Pela. Honorable Pela is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Shina Pela. I represent the people of Iseyin, Itesiwaju, Kajola, Iwajowa Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. I also stand as the voice of the common man at the Federal House of Representatives. I rise today to raise a motion, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, on the need to investigate the utilization of Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. The House notes that Section 11 of the National Health Act, which was enacted in 2014, provides that not less than 1% of Consolidated Revenue Fund, CRF, of the federal government be set aside as a grant to finance the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, which commits the federal government to dedicating national resources to improving the lives of all citizens, especially women and children, to access a high-impact and highly cost-effective package of health services, thereby achieving health for all, strengthening institutions and increasing financing and essential healthcare services. Also note, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, that Basic Healthcare Provision Fund will fund operational budget for public primary health care facility, one per ward, purchase an explicit set of high-impact services for all Nigerians, address underperformance at primary care level by removing the barriers to health care. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague, aware that the program will enable Nigerians to access services and will be delivered in 22 states, including the FCT, in the first instance, and will serve as a catalyst to facilitate complete overhaul and primary health care system in Nigeria. Recalls, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, that operational manual of the fund states that all program funds must be kept in a dedicated account at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Consequently, the Federal Ministry of Health, the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS, and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and relevant state agencies have all opened accounts with Central Bank of Nigeria. Also aware, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, that 50% of the total amount of appropriated has so far been released from 2018 budget for the program. Similarly, the Global Financing Facility and Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have contributed $20 million and $2 million grants respectively to the program, with the donor agencies also showing interest. Cognizant, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, that over 30 states have formally expressed interest and facility assessments have been carried out with the release of approximately 50% of the fund. Worried, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, that in spite of the laudable program intent of the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, the primary healthcare system of the country is in shambles. In fact, mortality is on increase. Rate of death at child is still very high in most rural communities, and hardly would find a functional primary health care facility in most local government areas, not to talk of wards. Further aware, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, that the Global Facility Financing, GFF, has committed about $20 million, while the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will commit up to $75 million over the next 5 years. And the Department for International Development, DFID, also committed £60 million sterling to support program whose goal is to have one functional primary health care per political ward in Nigeria. Resolved, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I pray to the House to mandate the Committee on Healthcare Services to investigate the utilization of Basic Healthcare Provision Fund and report back within the next 4 weeks for further legislative action. I rise to move my motion, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Seconder. Bauchi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I am Jato Muhammad Awal, representing the hardworking, peace-loving, and law-abiding people of the Federal constituency. I rise to second the motion for the need to investigate the utilization of the Basic Health Care Provision Fund as ably moved by my distinguished colleague, Honorable Shina Abiola Pila. I so second. Thank you.
Respected colleagues, this is a very straightforward motion, and I believe it's investigative. And by our rules, so that we don't preempt, I would rather, if you by their leave, put the question if you allow that. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Motion referred to relevant committees of the House. Respected colleagues, the 13th order of the day is consideration of a bill for an act to repeal the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, Cap A18, Laws of Federation of Nigeria, 2004, and enact the Arbitration and Mediation Bill to provide a unified legal framework for the fair and efficient settlement of commercial disputes by arbitration and mediation, make applicable the convention of the recognition and enforcement of the foreign arbitral award, New York Convention, to any award made in Nigeria or in any contracting state arising out of international commercial arbitration, and the Convention of the International Settlement Agreement resulting from mediation, the Singapore Convention, and for related matters. All members will recall that the bill was committed to Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 18th December 2019. Honorable Mohammed Tahir Manguno will move for the consideration.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohammed Tahir Manguno. I represent Marte Manguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I hereby move for a bill for an act to repeal the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, Cap A 18 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Arbitration and Mediation Bill to provide a unified legal framework for the fair and efficient settlement of commercial disputes by arbitration and mediation, make applicable the Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards, New York Convention, to any award made in Nigeria or in any contracting state arising out of international convention arbitration, the Convention on International Settlement, agreements resulting from mediation, the Singapore Convention, and for related matters, House Bill 91, be considered in the Committee of the Whole.
Seconder. Yes, Deputy Whip.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am Kiruka Onyejoch. I represent the good people of Isuku Atumu Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the consideration of the report on a bill for an act to repeal and the Arbitration and Conciliation Act, Cap A 18 Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and enact the Arbitration and Mediation Bill to provide a unified legal framework for the fair and efficient settlement of commercial disputes by arbitration and mediation, make applicable the Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards, New York Convention, to any award made in Nigeria or in any contracting state arising out of international commercial arbitration, the Convention on the International Settlement Agreement resulting from mediation, the Singapore Convention, and for related matters, HB 91. I so second. Stop at that.
Deputy, we want to introduce another system for us. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Respected colleagues, the 14th order of the day is consideration of a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, Special, Birnin Kudu, Jigawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching institutions, and teaching in technology, applied science, art, social sciences, humanities and management, and for later matters. And no honorable member would call that the bill was committed to the Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 9th October 2019. Honorable Magadi Dawu will move for its consideration.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleague, I rise for the consideration of the report for a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education Special, Birnin Kudu, Jigawa State, to provide for full-time courses, teaching, instruction and training in technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities and management, and for related matters, HB 169. I so propose.
Seconder, Honorable Marago.
Honorable. Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am Dr. Honorable Ajibola Muraina. I represent Barakwa Central, Barakwa North Federal Constituency. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Magadi. I so second.
Respected colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Respected colleagues, the 15th order of the day is constitutional of bill for an act to establish Chartered Institute of Administration of Nigeria and to make provisions, among other things, for membership and control of the profession of public administration and political matters. Honourable members will recall that the bill was committed to Committee of the Whole on Wednesday, 6 November 2019. Honourable Gideon Goni will move for its consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Gideon Gwani. I come from Kaduna State, and I represent Kaura Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I move that a bill for an act to establish Chartered Institute of Administration of Nigeria and to make provisions, among other things, for membership and control of the profession of public administration and for related matters. Mr. Speaker, I move that this report of this bill be considered in the Committee of the Whole.
Yes, Jaga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I am Mohamed Umar Jaga, representing Aleru Gondu Jaga Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my honorable colleagues. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Respected colleagues, leader, please move that the House do resolve the Committee of the Whole to consider the bills.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I am Comrade Peter Ohiozoje Akwatasin, representing the great people of Akoko Federal Constituency. I move that the House do resolve to...
We are not on the day of your own report. I think members will also decide. On the way, approach the chair.
Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, I move that the entire House resolve to the Committee of the Whole to consider a report. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder, yes, whip.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I hereby second the motion ably moved by the Leader of the House that the House do resolve your Committee of the Whole to consider reports.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The House is hereby resolved the Committee of the Whole to consider reports. Respected colleagues, the first bill to be considered is for an act to repeal the Arbitration and Conciliation Act Cap A18 Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Arbitration and Mediation Council Bill to provide a unified legal framework for a fair and efficient settlement of commercial disputes by arbitration and mediation, make applicable the Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards, New York Convention, to any award made in Nigeria or in any contracting state arising from the international commercial arbitration, the Convention on the International Settlement Agreement resulting from mediation, the Singapore Convention, and for related matters. I now invite Honorable Mohamed Tahir Manguno to give the synopsis of the bill.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Manguno. I represent Martin Monguno Nganzai, Federal Constituency of Borno State. The brief synopsis of this bill is that, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, the importance of arbitration and conciliation in our jurisprudence cannot be overemphasized, especially against the backdrop of the fact that our courts are overburdened. And as a result, our various cases suffer protracted history of adjournments. Some of them are being stalled. So arbitration, mediation, and conciliation is an avenue of settlement of dispute, especially commercial and civil disputes, out of court, so that at the end of the day, whatever the parties agree upon will be a consent judgment of the court, and it will be binding on all the parties involved. So what this bill essentially seeks to do is that there are certain novel innovations that have emerged as a result of change in our commercial activity and activities in society that is not within the contemplation of the law that is now sought to be repealed. So what this bill essentially seeks to do is to take into consideration the objective and subjective realities in our commercial environment with regard to arbitration, mediation, and conciliation that is not within the contemplation of the earlier law, and at the same time to bring the law in tandem with international best practice by incorporating all international arbitral agreements, international arbitral conciliation conventions within the framework of our arbitration and mediation law, so that it will be all encompassing and in tandem with international best practice and also in tandem with the realities of today. That is essentially what this bill seeks to achieve. Thank you.
Before you take a seat, Honorable Moguno, I want you to throw more light, because this is about domesticating a treaty or something like, kind of, if I understand from the content of the long title of the bill. It's about the Singapore Convention, something like treaty. And then what could be the reasons why Singapore, it was not signed? Carry us along here, a lawyer, so that we do not come to pass possibly what has some consequences on our country.
Well, Singapore bill because member nations had held meeting in Singapore where they agreed upon these conventions. So it is only titled Singapore because the meeting was held in Singapore. That's like the New York Convention that I referred to here. It was held in New York. That is why it was called the New York Convention. Just like in the Africa Union, we have the Casablanca Declaration, the Monrovia Declarations, and what have you.
But that's why I asked you to stay, because you are the one to guide us. Thank you. Clause 1. You said? We'll finish before them by the grace of God. Thank you. Clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's on page what? Clause 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Point of order on 16.
Mr.
Chairman, honorable colleagues, I remain Dr. Honorable Ajibola Muraina. I represent Ibarakwa Central, Ibarakwa North Federal Constituency. I'm from Oyo State. Mr. Chairman, this clause 16, there appears to be a problem there. 16, sir. A party requiring urgent relief may, then they put emergency relief in parentheses. It doesn't flow. I have read it severally. Either the may is not there, that it should not be there at all, or is it may, N-A-Y, or what exactly is it? It doesn't flow at all. No, a party requiring urgent relief, sir. May, then they now put emergency relief in parentheses. Then they say concurrent with. So it's either, sir, that may should not be there at all. I want the drafter to guide us. Or it should be like maybe may, or something is wrong. I just want to call our attention.
Mr. Chairman, foreign members, we all know that by rules of interpretation, where you see may, it is purely discretionary. Where it is shall is mandatory. So the intent of this clause is that the party on its own discretion, on its own volition, if it deems fit, can now seek for emergency relief. That is why it said may, because it involves discretion of a party that is concerned.
Then, if that were to be the case, with due respect, emergency relief in parentheses should come before even that may. In parentheses, urgent relief, in parentheses, emergency relief, then may. I submit.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members, this is a question of style in drafting, and this nitty-gritty with regard to drafting is something that can be taken care of by our legal department. We have trained draftsmen that can fish out these things and then correct it. This nitty-gritty is not something for us to, should be a subject of discourse here.
Honorable Moguno, I won't go with that. Because those small nitty-gritty, if you don't correct them well, they will go and return the bill to you on the excuse that they are not well drafted. That has happened to us in the last assembly, and you are a witness.
It's our draftsmen.
Thank you. Thank you. Seconder, yes, Igwe.
Mr. Chairman, my colleagues, Igwe, I second the amendment as proposed by my brother, Morano Ajibola. So move. Yes.
Chairman,
Chairman, my colleagues, Mr. Chairman, the 16 that we have just proposed and agreed an amendment now does not have any recommendation by the committee. On 16, there's no recommendation on the appointment of an emergency arbitrator. Is it to be retained or to be changed? It's blank. It has an omnibus provision. That is to say there's nothing to read.
Every clause.
So, but Chairman, based on the amendment that was moved and made by the House, I move that we shall have the retained. Let it be retained. Let that clause be retained. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
As amended, huh?
Yes, as amended.
Before you carry, sir. I want us to read 16 sub 2. Because it's not, to me, I'm not a student of English, but I don't see it as making enormous sense here. The party requiring the appointment of an emergency arbitrator shall provide sufficient copies of the application to so as to. It doesn't make enormous sense, Mr. Chairman. It will be a little bit challenging to me to correct it because I don't know the intent of. Because if you ask me, we should exercise some restraint and look at the English properly before it is thrown back at us. I don't know the intent. I don't know the purpose for which this clause is captured here.
For clarity and for us to be able to do the right thing, I will beg that this is a very voluminous and possibly it's because the eye have catches those other provisions. There may be more of such kind of errors. And I want to beg the sponsor of the bill and colleagues to allow us to step down this one so that the Secretariat will do a thorough job. And then we will do the consultation in the next legislative day. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is a treaty, and we're trying to domesticate it. We're trying to enact it, repeal it, enact it. There's a clause which requests the procedure of an amendment of a treaty. I think what we do, whether the Parliament can agree to domesticate it, accompanied with an explanatory note to the government to request for an amendment, which they will deposit this amendment at the Secretariat of the Secretary to the Secretary General of the United Nations and communicate it with the other parties, signatories to this convention. But as a parliament here, we either agree, domesticate it, or disagree. But when we amend it, the government must accompany this amendment to the Secretariat to table our amendment to this, and it has to be in agreement with other signatories to this treaty, because it is a treaty. We are changing words.
I will beg that what he said is very correct. First, I want to say his observation is very right. And ordinarily and ideally, the chairman committee on treaties is supposed to have gone through this particular. That should have been the correct procedure, so that we would be assured that what is being presented to us is in order, and that's what exactly was signed. So I will beg that himself, the sponsor of the bill, and then Honorable Sai, maybe Chairman Rules alongside, should sit and our bureaucrats study it and ensure that whatever they're bringing is exactly the copy of what was signed as a treaty. So that we'll now consider it in the next, maybe Wednesday next week, in the next. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll step down by the leave of the House for those considerations. Respected colleagues, the second bill to be considered is for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, Special, Birnin-Kudu, Jigawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction, and training in technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management and related matters. I now invite Honorable Magaji Dawu to give the synopsis of the bill.
Honorable Chairman, honorable colleagues, this is a very important and novel bill. It's a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education Special for people with special needs, the people in our communities. There's a similar school in Oyo State, in Oyo Town, that has been established since around 1960. That school is inadequate, so that's the need for this bill. So I urge my colleagues to kindly support this bill so that the similar college will be established in Jigawa State. Thank you.
Yes, I suppose this is a very straight bill I did mention, is to take care of those with disability. I think that is the, and then other special areas, and those who have interest in that field of study. Clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 schedules, explanatory memoranda, long title. Thank you. I've said so, long title, and you carry it. Respected colleagues, the third bill to be considered is for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Administration of Nigeria and to make provisions, among other things, for membership and control of the profession of public administration and for related matters. I now invite Honorable Gideon Ngoni to give the synopsis of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. This is a straightforward bill. This bill seeks to establish the Chartered Institute of Public Administration in Nigeria. It also seeks to provide, amongst many other things, membership and control of the practice of the profession. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, this institute, when it is established, its main duty is to register members, and it will also control and guide the practice of the profession, like so many institutes that are in existence. So, Mr. Chairman, this is simply what the bill is. Members who are in that profession want an institute where they can control and guide. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Don't finish.
Carried. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you go through the 8 again so that, I don't know. I'm not clear with the language there. Honorable Goni, help us.
It's clear now. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, it's simply that the council can decide to also borrow funds for the interests of the institute. Okay. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, that's section 8. The council may borrow money for the purposes of the institute, and any interest payable on the money borrowed shall be paid out of the fund.
Out of the institute fund.
Out of the institute fund.
If you amend it. Chairman, I think, in any money that you are borrowing, there is usually interest accruable to that borrowing. So what this provision is making is saying, for them to have the power to go to commercial bank and borrow money that is attached to interest accruable. You know, there are some instances in public sectors now. You may not go and borrow money because you are not entitled to pay interest. But this bill is now making provision to accept the accruable interest on the money to be borrowed. If you go to ministries, they can't borrow money. And if they borrow, you can't pay interest. You can't even pay COT. No, but that is the truth. You can't. Because the monies are kept with CBN. So you cannot eat more than what you have. But these people are saying, look, we can borrow money and also pay the interest accruable to the money that we're borrowing.
Very much, Mr. Chairman. No, we're not. To further help us, Mr. Chairman, I try to go through section 23, which is the interpretation. Sorry, sir. Will you allow me land? Am I protected, sir? Yes, I went through the section on interpretation, and I can't find where that word, fund, was defined relative to this act. So it throws us into further quagmire, sir, that the fund that we're talking about is not defined.
Mr. Chairman and my colleagues, Chairman, I think what we should do here is a correction. The money borrowed shall be paid out of the institute's fund, which means that it's the institute's money that they will use to pay. It's not a fund in its literal meaning. It's an amount set out or an organization set out where funds will come in. But in this case now, it's on the institute's money that will pay out whatever interest that is accruable. So I'm moving an amendment that it should read out of the institute's fund, which is their money. I so move, Mr. Chairman. Institute, yes. No, Mr. Chairman, everybody can borrow.
Shut them.
Shut
them borrow.
National Assembly will borrow money, so you borrow money to pay.
Later you pay.
We pay interest.
Mr. Chairman, if I may come in here, this provision is a standard provision that you will find in all institutions and organizations that are sought to be established by law. It's a standard provision. In any law that establishes institutions of this nature, you have similar provisions. So it's standard, there is no dispute about it, sir.
So I quite very much agree with you that it could be a standard provision. But for mischief makers, and tomorrow if you want to hold somebody responsible for certain things, it is the act that we use against the person. And that's why you need to define, for me, that's layman, so that we avoid those kind of litigation that may come out of mischief makers. Because, go back to, maybe so that you understand me better, the council shall establish and maintain a fund, the management and control of which shall be in the hands of the council, and into which shall be paid. Then they now get the category, a fees and other money payable to the institute under the act, all revenue from the other sources, both local and international, there should be paid out of fund of the paid out of the fund of the institute. All expenses incurred by the council, the remuneration of the council allowances, such reasonable traveling and subsistence allowances, the council may invest money in any bond or other security created. This is possibly the definition. And that's why I'm concerned about if they say, you now go to borrow. From which other source are you going to? As we are investing. Will you now go back to invest and come back and take another money somewhere and go and pay? It's not quite defined. For those of you who have accounting knowledge, could help us better. Yes, I will know.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. I just want to do a follow-up on the comment made by Honorable Mungunu on the issue of standards. I think it's high time we start eliminating unnecessary issues that are not contained. Because if he said it's a standard that an institution should borrow, To borrow to do what? Because already the fund to be established is contribution by members. If it is contribution by members and also they have power to invest. Now what we are saying is that at what point are they going to borrow? To borrow to do what? And most of the decisions are supposed to be taken by the council. So we are of the opinion that this particular portion should even be deleted completely.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, please, let us don't put sentiment into this thing. All over the world, even here, even us as honorable members, when I'm here to get my salary and I have my constituents disturbing me, I go to the bank and I ask the bank, please give me in lieu of what I'm expecting and transport it to agency. They are trying to have a legal backing, irrespective of whether they have investment or they don't have investment. How about if those contributions are yet to be made? And how about if also, like now, there's a provision for special fund. All monies should be placed into a particular account. And they are yet to get their own share. They can collect money. And this provision is saying, if we collect, you can't collect it free of charge. No commercial bank will give you free. You must pay no matter how little the interest is. So this thing is giving them the backing to be able to pay that interest. Not even the issue of borrow. It's the interest. It's an expenditure.
9, 10. 10? On 10? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You see, just for us to have a clean document, this is supposed to be a bill, not an act. There are preponderance of acts that registrar means, tribunal means the disciplinary tribunal established under section 15(1) of this act. Registrar means registrar prepared and maintained under section 10(4) of this act. So is this an act or a bill? So is this a bill? So we already have an act with us.
No, are we talking about the...
Are we talking a bill or an act?
This is drafted for security, so you have to reflect...
They didn't say a bill for an act.
This is standard draft.
No. Thank you, sir.
I beg you.
That is to interchange the words wherever you find, so that we carry out the correct one. No, what it says is correct. That's in the writing language. What is observation are very germane. They're okay. You just substitute. That could be the cure, so that we make progress. You don't understand? Okay, step down so that you go and stand better. Anywhere you see ag, you put it as bill.
Mr. Chairman, this bill was presented under the government. This bill was also presented to the particular committee. This committee has worked on this bill. And today we are considering the report on this bill. If there was a problem with the head, like, I think that the committee is
No. I think who is the sponsor of the bill? Has it become an act?
No, not yet.
Are we repealing and enacting?
No,
so how can you find the word an act in the body? That's what it's saying. And then we're giving you good leeway. You want to do us back. Then we'll ask you to go and do the correction and come back. No, you should now accept his own observation, and then we'll make progress.
Mr. Chairman, I beg to move that anywhere there's an act,
Yes.
it should be changed to a bill. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
You know, we have procedure for consideration. We are supposed to go close by close so that we don't. Then what to the point? What was? Thank you. Don't do that again next time. Thank you. Close 9, 10, 11. Yes, sir.
Clause 11(1)(d), one of the functions of the registrar shall be to record the names of members of the institute who are in default for more than 4 years in the payment of annual subscription is on. Page 17, 18. Who are in default of payment of their annual subscription, and to take such actions as may be deemed fit under this act. I think the sponsors of this act will do us well if they can state expressly such actions that will be taken against the defaulters so as to avoid unnecessary litigations in the future. Page 7, clause 11(1)(d). 1D. I said one of the functions of the registrar shall be to record the names of members of the institute who are in default for more than 4 years in the payment of annual subscription, and to take such actions as may be deemed fit under this act. What are the actions to be taken against defaulters? Such actions need to be expressly stated so as to avoid unnecessary litigations and ambiguities in future. I so move.
Is simply asking, maybe the sponsor of the bill to the files where this particular provision is made for the punishment. So, C of the same. Remove from the register the names of registered members who has died or person whose name is directed to be struck out of it. Because this one is talking about in the follow payments, meaning there is a specified punishment for them. But he's asking what is the specified punishment under the act.
Let's go to page 14(7), under penalties.
Yeah, it's there.
Page 14, 7.
7.
Yes.
Sit down.
16(1)(a). Page 14 and 16(1)(a).
And 16(1)(a). No. A member is adjudged by the tribunal to be guilty of infamous conduct.
Yeah, it doesn't follow. It has not gone to
Sir?
I will beg that we step down this one too. You go and work it. I don't know. It's for who? It's their name. Exactly, you are saying it's garbage in, garbage out. Is a no, that's no. Thank you. Move that you step down the bill so that we'll go back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hereby move that we step down.
Voluntarily, no? Voluntarily.
No. Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I move that this report for this bill be stepped down for further consultation.
For further legislative input.
Yeah. I'll consult with the committee.
Chairman and my colleagues, come repeat and hear the Jia Partisan. I move that the House revert to plenary to report progress. I so move, Mr. Chair.
I second the motion that the House revert to plenary to report progress.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. House will revert to plenary to report progress. Respected colleagues, the House in the Committee of the Whole considered a report on a bill for an act to repeal the Arbitration and Conciliation Act (CAP) A18 Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Arbitration and Mediation Bill to provide a unified legal framework for the fair and efficient settlement of commercial disputes by the arbitration and mediation, make applicable the Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards, New York Convention, to any award made in Nigeria or in contracting state arising from international commercial arbitration, the Convention on the International Settlement Agreement resulting from mediation, the Singapore Convention, and for later matters, and defer consideration of the report. Respected colleagues, the House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report on a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, Special Building Kudu, Jigawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction, and training in technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities and management, and for later matters, and approved clauses 1 to 22, the schedule and the explanatory memoranda and long title of the bill. Respected colleagues, the House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report on a bill for to establish the Chartered Institute of Administration of Nigeria and to make provisions, among other things, for members and control of the profession of public administration and for later matters, defer consideration of the report. Leader, move for the adoption of the report of the House. Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Comrade Peter Patterson once again representing Akukwedo Federal Constituency. I move that the reports be adopted. I so move.
Whip.
Speaker, honorable members, I remain Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Martin Monguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I second the motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader, move for the adjournment of the House to Tuesday next week.
Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker. Comrade Peter Ohiazoja Akwatasin. I move that the House do adjourn to 11 o'clock of Tuesday next week. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I remain Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Martin Monguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. I second the motion for adjournment ably moved by the Leader of the House.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. House adjourned to Tuesday 11 next week.